in Hello, happy Wednesday. Welcome to this week's episode of Your Manchester with me, Mr. Michael Adams, and
me, Jack Mabon.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you, mate?
I'm very good. It's nice to present with you.
Yeah, we haven't done this before together.
We haven't. No, of course. Jack's one of our newest members of the team. Are you glad to be here?
Oh, it's great fun.
I was going to say the answer's yes.
Yes.
And as always, we've got a really jam-packed edition of Your Manchester coming right your way tonight. Now, Jack, have you ever seen this before, Hamilton?
I have.
Have you? What do you think of it?
Phenomenal. It's one of my favourite shows.
Well, last night, Belinda and Mark headed down to the Palace Theatre in Manchester to go and see it, and they gave it a 5-star. In fact, I think on Twitter, Belinda gave it like an 11-star review, which I think is good.
Yeah.
And you can check that out over on our Twitter page at Your MCR. Now, you like a good walk out and about in town, don't you?
I always like a good walk out and about in town.
Yeah, it's a nice little stroll about. Well, you know what? There's one man who works here, Mr. Mark Llewellin, who... he enjoys a good walk as well, and he's been walking around Piccadilly this week. Mm-hmm. Check this out.
We're starting this week's walk here at Piccadilly Station. It's always been called Piccadilly Station, actually. It opened in 1842 as Store Street Station, but it has several names and changed to Piccadilly in 1960. And now it's our main station for the city. Around 19 million people pass through this station every year. Now we're going to walk to Piccadilly Gardens. You might ask why we're not taking the tram. But hey ho, that's your Manchester for you. So behind me is what used to be the main fire station. It opened in 1906, built of red terracotta, and served through until the 1980s. It was also a police station, coroner's court, ambulance station. It's also where you went to take your gas meter to have it tested. Lots of rumours about it becoming a hotel. Let's hope something's done with it because it's a beautiful Edwardian building. So this is Aytoun Street, so called because the land was owned by a man called Roger Aytoun. Now Roger Aytoun was 6'4", and in 1769 he was involved in the Great Siege of Gibraltar. He later met I was going to say young lady, actually she was a lot older than him. She was a widow and she had money, and Roger inherited the lot, including all the land here. He used to love a bit of a fist fight, so he was known as Spanking Roger Aytoun. They should name the street that, shouldn't they? So further along Aytoun Street we turn to Minchell Street, and behind us is Minchell Street Courts. And that's where Michael and I first saw Belinda perform, just we got the courts. Minchell Street is named after the woman that Roger Aytoun married, as you know, or her husband. He was an apothecary, and in the 18th century he made an awful lot of money. Died, his widow then married Roger Aytoun, she then died, and Aytoun inherited their house at Hoff Hall and all this land. So it's only right that one street be named after the man who left Roger the money, which he capitalised on, isn't it? And now we arrive in Piccadilly Gardens, which is a mess, isn't it? It used to be beautiful gardens, like a park. And they are preparing at the moment for the Christmas markets. Now, the name Piccadilly is thought to come from a type of collar, Piccadilly. The gardens used to be home to daub pits where they used to dig clay out, and they also then used the ponds that they created for the ducking schools. There was a lunatic asylum on that site, which was the foundation for what became Manchester Royal Infirmary. But this was kind of a great gathering ground where things, demonstrations and speeches took place. I suppose not unlike today. So right here in the middle of the gardens is the statue of Queen Victoria, unveiled just after she died. She's shown in the costume of the Order of Regatta and topped by George and the Dragon. Queen Victoria herself decreed that it shouldn't be made out of marble. She thought it wouldn't wear well in the Manchester smoky atmosphere, and so it's made of bronze. But when it was unveiled, it wasn't unveiled to universal acclaim. In fact, one newspaper wrote, "At once the most pretentious, the most incoherent, and the most inept of any sculptural monument one has ever seen in England." Well, she will not have been amused at that. And that brings us to the end of this week's walk.
I feel like Queen Victoria wouldn't be impressed just looking at Piccadilly Gardens these days, would she? It's not the nicest down there. However, since Mark filmed that VT, the Christmas markets have started.
They have.
Do you like the Christmas markets?
I love the Christmas markets. I was there the other day.
Were you?
I was,
Did you get anything nice?
I did. I got a proper German hot dog and a pint.
He likes a German sausage.
Oh.
Well, as you can see, your Manchester studio has been very much Christmas-fied. We've got this beautiful tree. I can see a little... what is that? Is it meant to be like a soldier or something? A nutcracker? I have no idea, but it's there. It's on the fireplace. And well, I can hear laughs in the gallery. They're laughing at me not knowing what... I think it's a nutcracker.
It is a nutcracker, yeah.
Now, speaking of Christmas markets, you've had your German sausage, but did you have any cheese?
I did not.
Well, there is one lady who is a familiar face if you are a long-term viewer of your Manchester, and it's Miss Sophie Buxton. Now, her dad owns the Cheshire Cheese Company.
Oh.
Do you like a bit of cheese?
I do like a bit of cheese.
What's your favourite?
My favourite? Well, I've got
You're going to tell me mozzarella here, aren't you?
Well, if it wasn't mozzarella, I'd have to go with Red Leicester.
Well, they do some Red Leicesters, they do some Cheddars, and with it being the Cheshire Cheese Company, they do some Cheshires as well. And well, when I was strolling round the Christmas markets the other day, I bumped into that certain old face. So it's that time of the year again when people start heading into town to go to the Christmas markets. Wait a minute, I've just seen an old face. Sophie Buxton?
Michael Adams!
Former reporter on Your Manchester, what are you doing here?
What am I doing here? I am selling some very good cheese.
So this Christmas, you can find myself and Sophie working down here in Piccadilly Gardens and on New Cathedral Streets, selling a bit of cheese. So we've got some Christmas cheese recommendations coming right this way, just for you.
So let's start with our best sellers. We've got the Black Bob 18-month extra mature cheddar, super smooth and very creamy. It just, it says it, the original legendary, melts amazing on anything and everything. We've then got the Reserva, which is the caramelised onion and the oca, a little bit of Spanish red wine in there to enhance the flavours. With this one, it's like your cheese, chutney and wine, all in one. What more could you want in a cheese? And then if we move on to, I think this is going to be our next bestseller. It's a new one for this year, Masala, mango chutney and Nigella seeds. Oh my goodness me, if you are partial to curry night, you need this. Melted on your naan bread, unreal. Very, very tasty indeed. And then let's go down to this end where we've got our festive flavours. So we've got two special editions for this year. We've got the cranberry. Good old cranberry. You cannot go wrong. It just makes such a good traditional cheese board cheese on Christmas Day. There's always room for a bit of cheese on Christmas Day, isn't there? So definitely cranberry. And then we've got the clementine, which is the orange, cognac and dried fruits. So quite a sweet one. Think like Christmas cake vibes. Amazing on a digestive biscuit. You've got your very own cheesecake. Delicious. Okay, this one is something a little bit special. People were going mental for this one last year. It actually sold out, so get yourself down to Piccadilly Gardens or New Cathedral Street before it goes, because once it's gone, it is gone. And this little beauty is our Gincello, gin and lemon. It is amazing. If you like lemon cheesecake, you will love this one. So refreshing, very zesty, and also amazing on a digestive biscuit. Okay, now let's go all the way down to the other end. So we've gone from one extreme to another. We are now back to the savoury, and we're back to this little spicy number. El Gringo, chili lime and tequila. This one is amazing on a burger or nachos. It's just so fiery, and it is a whole tasteful sensation. You get the heat of the lime straight away, the tequila has a little dance on them taste buds, and then you get the chili kick afterwards. Oh, it is amazing, and it is an essential Mexican knife cheese. Beautiful.
So there you have it. You really can't go wrong by visiting Cheshire Cheese down here at Piccadilly Gardens or at New Cathedral Street up until the 22nd of December. Goodness me, great for Christmas, and as well, you might catch us too. And a little bit of a boogie down here as well, so why not come and visit us and try some of our festive cheeses. See you soon.
Bye.
Oh, hasn't it been good to have you back?
Oh, I love you, my Adams.
Oh, and I love you, Sophie Buxton. It was lovely to have her back. We were reminiscing, and we were talking about her infamous interview she did with Craig Revel Horwood from Strictly fame back in the day. Yes, I can't remember what it was about or why he was being interviewed. It was something to do with the theatre, but he was there. And I'm sure if you dig deep enough in the Your Manchester archive, available, of course, on YouTube, then you'll be able to find that particular interview and reminisce of days gone by on Your Manchester. Happy memories. I'm actually approaching, I've worked it out, very nearly my 100th episode of Your Manchester.
It's a long time.
And this is only, what, your second?
Third.
Yeah. It's got a long way to go yet, hasn't it? So, going back to Christmas, of course, we've discussed the markets.
Yeah.
What comes next?
Trees.
Trees, decorations. And, well, our friends down at the Daisy Nook Garden Centre, which is near Ashton, they've been preparing for a little festive season. And, well, of course, our very own Belinda Scandal and Mark Llewellin went down there to check it out.
So here, I can't help but notice we have the smell and everything. It's getting proper Christmas.
Isn't it just?
It is, isn't it? And the Christmas trees will be coming in very shortly.
Yes.
The cut ones, but we've got at the moment we've got these potted ones, which are very good if you want to put them in your garden.
Yes, or on a terrace.
Or on a terrace, so in a pot or somewhere like that.
Yep.
And you could sort of have it in, and these are very good. But these are these particular trees have actually been pot grown. They've been grown in a pot all their life.
Right.
So therefore they're very easy to transplant. You could put it into your garden and they could light it up, and of course they do grow very easily in the garden. The important thing with Norman firs, and with this is what this is, it's the most popular Christmas tree now.
Yeah.
At one time people used to use Picea excelsior, which used to have needles on it, and of course when you touched it, all the needles fell off.
I remember those.
And people sort of, but these have been around now for about 30 years. They originally started coming from Denmark, but most of these now are grown in Scotland or Ireland.
Yes.
I never knew there was different varieties of Christmas tree.
Oh, lots of different varieties, aren't there?
I never knew that.
But this is the main one. This is a fir rather than actually a Picea.
Right.
And the needles are actually don't have little pegs which dry out in the traditional trees. They do actually grow into the actual stems, and so therefore that's why they don't drop off.
Right.
But the important thing with these is you can get them for various sizes. A lot of trees now, most people don't know exactly what sort of size they want for their own house. I always suggest that when people want to buy a Christmas tree, they measure the house first. A lot of people come in and say it's so big, and they haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
And they usually always go home with a tree that's either too tall or very big and bushy.
Yes.
And there's nothing worse than you don't know where to stick it when
When it's big and bushy.
No, you don't. And people often don't realise how big they are when they actually take them home.
So, this one is in a pot, but if you were going to choose a cut Christmas tree, what would you do?
I would look at a tree first of all and weigh up the size and decide what sort of size of tree I would like.
Yeah.
And then I would then look at see how this width is to fit in the gap. Now, sometimes there's no reason why if you've got selected your tree you can't trim it at the back to fit it into a corner.
Yeah.
Most people put it by the side of a corner or something like that. And then the other important thing is look at the tree, and it should look nice and green and healthy, and you should be able to get hold of the branches and bend them down and let go, and they spring back up.
So it's really like choosing a husband, isn't it? You don't want one that talks, but you want it quite springy.
Yes, you want it nice and firm as well. You don't want it to be sort of sagging.
Firm but springy.
And definitely not
No
sagging.
sagging.
No sagging. But that's where and then the important thing, if you were to buy all Christmas trees, to look after them, you should either, whether it's like this one, it's in a pot, in soil, but you should put them into a bucket or a tree stand, which you water and keep it topped up with water. And they drink up to a pint a day. So at least that. So you've got to make sure you keep it topped up, and it will keep it then fresh for the 12 days of Christmas.
So a lot of trees you find, the ones for sale on pub car parks and things, in a cut wooden stand, a disc already.
Yeah.
That can't take water.
It can't take water.
So it's no good.
No, it's no good at all. The only way, if you bought one of those, the only way to deal with that is actually to chop off about 2 or 3 inches off the bottom of it.
Right.
And that's what we do here. Once a customer selected a tree, we will then trim about 1 inch off the bottom of the tree, which opens it up like a cut flower.
Ah, right.
And then the tree will actually then start taking up water. Now with that, once we've done that, we then net the trees so you can get them into your car, because of course they take quite.
I love the netting machine.
Yes.
Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it?
So that will
we can put you through it.
Really? Yeah. I don't think I'd come out of it.
But if you want to buy a tree early, you can buy it, select it, take it home with you. But if you're not going to put it into the house, take it home, put it into the back garden.
Yeah.
Stand it in a bucket with some water and take the netting off it. Don't leave it netted up. Because it will deteriorate in the foliage.
And should you ever buy a tree that is netted already?
No. If you go to somewhere that's got trees which are netted, I wouldn't buy them, because you don't know how long they've actually been in those nets. The actual trees are actually, when they're delivered to us, come netted. And we have make sure we take them all out of the nets within 24 hours of them arriving here, to stop them sort of deteriorating. Because what happens because they're usually wet, they start to sweat in the net, and that's what happens.
Oh, that rhymes, doesn't it?
Sweaty net.
So then that's when they start to disintegrate.
And how long should a tree last for?
A tree, if you look after it, you will have no problems with a Christmas tree right the way through till 12th night.
Yeah.
And once after Christmas, after 12th night, you can put the trees outside in the garden.
Yeah.
Even if it's a cut tree, it would last probably until March or April time, looking green, and the birds will enjoy it then, of all that time as well. So you can put it into your garden and leave it.
And what about disposing of them? What's the best way to do that?
Well, the local authorities have places where you can actually take them, and that's one of the good ways to. And what they do is they put them into machines, and they actually grind them up and use them for putting onto beds and things, so you can recycle them.
And it's the smell, isn't it, as well? You could
and you've got to remember that
out of that, couldn't you?
For every tree they plant, if every tree they harvest, they plant another 5 afterwards. So it's a continual production right the way through. And a tree of probably about 6 foot, 7 foot in height is probably around 12 to 15 years old.
Wow.
So that's how long it takes to produce a tree of that sort of size.
It's a good job we have Christmas every year then, isn't it?
And what's the tallest tree that you're likely to supply this year?
Probably about 18 to 20 feet.
You'd have to have a good hallway for that, wouldn't you?
You'd have to have a good car to get it home, wouldn't you?
I know you'd have somebody to do that for you, wouldn't you, surely?
You'd have to have, it needs some sort of support to put it in. Most people who have those have them outdoors.
Yeah.
Right. And how many Christmas trees do you think you'll sell?
Probably up to about 1,000.
1,000 Christmas trees? Wow, that's a lot of trees.
Oh, I'm blocking your shot.
Oh, what are you looking at there? Hello. Still in the room with us. When I first saw that Jolly Christmas elf, I did at first think it was our former weatherman. You don't know who that is, do you?
I don't.
Anyway, if you're wondering where Belinda and Mark are this week, it's because sadly Belinda did actually end up getting let loose with the netting machine, and Mark's currently making his way through several metres worth of nets trying to cut her out without getting onto that luscious ginger lot.
Oh, no.
Well, can you believe that is the end of the programme? Thanks very much for joining us. Are you here next week?
Am I here next week?
Yeah.
I'm watching next week.
Oh, you're watching next week. Me too. So why not join us in watching next week's episode of
Your Manchester.